The Synergistics Resilience Model is a lifelong passion project of mine, starting with a master's in coping strategies managers and culminating in a PhD longitudinal study where we looked at how we develop people's individual resilience. I've taken these key concepts and trained neurosurgeons, portfolio managers, contact center operators, and other admin staff in building their resilience. And I've done it in a variety of different settings around the world. So in Canada, America, United Kingdom, Australia, Africa, and South Africa as well. When you look at this model, you'll notice certain key characteristics. The obvious one being that it's a circle. The reason why we have it as a circle, not a pyramid, is it shows that each of the 4 quadrants is equally important. And the reason why I've designed it like this is to show that there's not a progression from one to the next. Each of them is equally important. Secondly, each circle has a theme, and I'll unpack those a little bit later on. You'll notice that the model is called Synergistics Resilience because this talks to the synergy between the different components. And at its core, right at the center, the infinity loop. And the reason why I have the infinity loop is because it talks to a lifelong journey. You don't just attend a workshop and you're resilient for life. It's something that you have to make constant deposits and work on. But also the infinity loop ties the 4 different pillars together. Fundamental of this model, right at the center of this diagram, is the 4 pillars, where we talk about mental, physical, socio-emotional, and spiritual. And sometimes when people look at this model, they try to negotiate and say, Mark, can't I just do well in 2 or 3 of these components? But the reality is, a well-lived life takes into account all 4 of these. And because of what life is going to throw at us, we need a multifaceted approach. It's a little bit like having 3 well-inflated tires on a car. If just one of the wheel is not well inflated, you're going to have a bumpy ride through life. In the second circle, after we looked at the evaluation components, we have to look at what are the key paradigms that underpin resilience, because the lenses through which we see the world determine how we respond to them. And I've identified 4 crucial paradigms that are going to help you with long-term behavior change. They are Think Like a Kid, 2020 Vision, Conquering the Monkey, and turbo boosters. So when we start in the spiritual fitness component and we look at 2020 vision, we're alluding to how do we get perspective. When we're stressed out, we tend to lose perspective and then we end up making poor quality decisions. So what are the practices that you can build into your life so that you don't have to have a whole lot of rework, you don't have to go through all of that emotional turmoil or reputational damage? And we're going to explore that in the workshops. The second paradigm in the physical fitness component talks to turbo boosters. Turbo boosters is that vitality. I don't mean discovery health vitality. I'm talking about, do you have enough energy to do the big things in your life? Many people are running on empty. And so how can we boost our energy levels? The third one, Conquering the Monkey, in the socio-emotional quadrant, talks to our relationships, both with ourselves and with other people. Which monkey are you feeding? Are you feeding the monkey of retribution, retaliation, or are you letting things go and reconciling with people? And that's going to impact the quality of your relationships. And then finally, the last one, Think Like a Kid, talks to that awe and curiosity. When you see young children at play, they put themselves out there, they're learning new things, they're always asking why? With AI and robotics, we don't know what the future holds for some of the careers that we're in. But one thing I can almost guarantee is that if we stick to our narrow little lane and we never upgrade our skills, the likelihood that we're probably going to become redundant is so much higher. And so we need to adopt this Think Like a Kid mentality. Unfortunately for many of us, we suffer from the curse of competence. We get really good at something, and there's nothing wrong with specializing, but we then don't want to step outside of that narrow domain and feel incompetent as we learn new things. And so we need to embrace this Think Like a Kid mentality. We need to have a clear understanding of what our baseline is, how we're performing on these dimensions, and then to track that progress over time. On the outer perimeter are what I call micro behaviors. And some of you, when you look at the model, you say, wow, there's 12 micro behaviors. Yes, there are, but I suspect that many of you are doing quite a few of them already. Maybe you haven't labeled them the same way as I've labeled them, but you're doing them unconsciously. And also, I call them micro behaviors because they don't always have to take a huge time investment. Let's take gratitude, for example, in the spiritual fitness domain. If you sit down 3 times a week and just for 30 seconds write down what you're grateful for, you get the benefit of gratitude. If you then go and exercise gratitude by sharing that with people around you for what they've done, you strengthen the connections that you have with people. And we know that when you have strong relationships and a strong team around you, you're able to weather life storms so much better. So something very simple, something seemingly very innocuous, can actually make a big difference in terms of our resilience levels. So what we want to do is take this model and think about it in terms of the context of your life, because each one of you has got different challenges, and apply it into that context, and then come up with an action plan that's going to drive long-term behavioral change. So if you want to develop this meta skill of resilience, join us on the Henley Online Resilience Program, where we explore the different components that make up resilience within the context of your unique life.